First Lady Joyce Grice, say hey to the people.
Hi.
So we are so excited to be here with her today. It's always a pleasure to be in the midst of the Grices. There are some amazing people, and I'm just glad to know them. So,
Likewise.
thank you. Thank you. So, as I alluded to previously, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well as Clergy Appreciation Month. So, to give tribute to that, I wanted to sit down with some pastors and their wives and things of that nature. And so, here we are with First Lady Joyce Grice, and she is a new First Lady. So, we're going to get into that in a little bit. But, First Lady Grice, will you introduce yourself?
Of course. Thank you.
You're
Well, my name
welcome.
is Joyce Grice, as Cindy just mentioned. Let's see. I am an Indiana native. I have four wonderful children, two grandchildren. Um, I've been in San Antonio for several years. And let's see. I'm the youngest of nine children.
Nine children.
Nine
You're the
children.
baby?
I am.
No wonder.
Oh.
Just joking.
Yeah, so and let's say I have a ton of interest that
Okay.
includes social service.
Okay.
I love working within the community, doing a number of things.
That's awesome.
Currently, I'm a CASA, court appointed special advocate.
Oh, really? Tell us
Yes.
just a little bit about that, if you will.
Oh yeah. So with as a CASA, it's a volunteer position,
Okay.
and I work with families or children that are in the foster care system.
Okay.
And currently, I have a case of several children in within one family, and
Okay.
they are amazing. It's been an amazing experience, and so with that position, you just make sure you advocate for them,
Okay.
to make sure that they have the right services and that they have the things that they need to be successful in life.
Okay. You alluded to one word that kind of stuck out to me,
Yes.
and it was voluntary.
Yes.
So you don't make a dime for doing this?
No.
So
Mm-mm.
you have to absolutely love that to do it for
I
free.
absolutely love it.
That's
I
awesome.
absolutely love
You know,
it.
I just noticed something.
Yes.
We're matching.
Oh,
Isn't that
that's
cute?
nice. That's very
Your
cute.
earrings kind of match my shoes and
Oh,
your blazer and my shirt.
yes.
Wow,
Very
that's just so
nice.
cute.
I
I
know.
love
My
it. I love
sister.
it. Yeah, like for real, for real. So, Joyce and I have been knowing each other for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I have been in San Antonio since 2010, and
Yes.
I met you shortly after I moved here. And I will say that Joyce was my first friend, the very first friend that I had when I moved here.
Mm.
I'm not a very friendly person. I'm not.
Oh,
I don't show myself as friendly. Everybody thinks that I'm mean, but I'm really not.
she's
Um,
not.
so but when I find a friend,
Mm-hmm.
I really find a friend. And
Yes.
we were not just friends; we were more like sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So we did church together. I did her hair. So
Yes.
yeah, this is my girl right here.
That's right.
So let's move into some questions, if you will, Joyce.
Okay.
So recently
Mm.
there was a major transition in your life.
Yes.
So you actually got married.
I did.
But not only did you get married, you got married to the Reverend Dr. Jesse Grice.
I did.
How was that transition coming from being such an independent, strong woman to now you're the pastor's wife? Tell me about
Yes,
that.
it's a major transition, as a matter of fact, but it's one well received. Um, okay, the transition. Well, we kind of started out dating, and from dating, it went full speed ahead. We both had a lot of interest in common. And he was just a wonderful man. Once I got over the fact that he was my pastor, um,
That probably was the hardest part, huh?
that was the hardest thing
Yeah.
for me because I had seen him, as my pastor, loved and respected him for many years. And then all of a sudden to be dating him,
Wow.
it was quite different. But like I said, once it got started, it was absolutely amazing. It was kind of a magical
Oh,
experience.
magical. Oh my goodness. That's a deep word to put in a relationship.
Really, and it's been one of a kind experience for me.
Oh,
Yes, so I'm
that
very
is so
happy,
awesome.
and the transition it's been difficult in that just the transition with other people, not with us. We are great, but
Solid. Awesome.
the observations and expectations of others has been made it a little um,
Challenging.
challenging.
But it doesn't matter.
No.
All right. So, so with that transition, I'm sure, you went from, just doing things as you would normally do them
Mm-hmm.
to now you're not just any old pastor's wife. Like you guys' church is almost like a little a mega church on this side of town, if you will, right? So tell me what your week looks like. What does a typical week look like?
One word: busy.
Really?
Yes. The week is busy. We start our day typically at about 5:30 in
Oh,
the morning. What I call our little um, uh, conference meetings.
okay. Your board meeting,
Our
huh?
board meetings at 5:30 a.m. because that's typically when he wakes up, and so I wake up, and we have full blown discussions about a number of things within our family, our friends, our church, serving our agendas and events that we have in front of us, and we also, of course, not to mention last, but we use that time to pray together as well.
Awesome. So how important is prayer in a relationship?
Oh my gosh, it's very important. I think that we get a little sidetracked sometimes, us as people, and we don't always pray as the Bible tells us to pray without ceasing.
Absolutely.
That is sound doctrine. You have to literally do that because if you don't, you're likely to allow yourself to act without referencing the Lord or asking for direction. And then when we act, with ourselves, our old nature, then things don't always come out the way that you want them to.
Yeah, that's amazing because would you say that when you start your day with prayer, it actually sets the trajectory of the day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have a perfect day, but it does allow you to use that prayer time or whatever you prayed about to you kind of reflect on that throughout the day, and it kind of helps you stay focused.
Yes. Yeah. So praying in the morning time before you get to the office, and then all of a sudden something happens at the office, and you reflect back, you know what? I prayed that this would be a good day. And so I'm not going to allow this one situation to
Yes.
make the rest of these 23 hours, 23.50 hours
Right.
be a bad day. So
Absolutely.
that's y'all hear that, right? Always get your day started with prayer.
With prayer.
Yeah. So let's I already asked you about how oh, I didn't ask you about this. I talked about prayer. We talked about how important prayer was, but how important is communication in a marriage?
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that might come right after prayer.
Absolutely.
Communication is so important because a lot of time we have a lot of things on our agenda to do. Again, personally and within the ministry. So if we fail to communicate, or if we don't communicate effectively, then a lot of things can be missed, appointments missed. I mean, it's just super important. And then that's just that part. But then within our relationship, communication is important because we operate differently. And so it's just important for us to be able to understand where each other's coming from.
Yes. That's a really good point, because no two people are the same. And so, you've come from a whole different walk of life. He's come from an entirely different walk of life. So you have two totally different people coming together.
Yes.
And so without that communication, it could be a possibility that you're always clashing.
Yes. Yes.
So that's very, very important. But you said something earlier, because it's not just communication, but you said effectively communicating. Because we can talk,
Yes.
but that doesn't mean that we come to a resolve.
Yes.
But because it's effective,
Yes.
that's a whole different ball game. Talk about that.
Well, it really is a whole different ball game, because what I think effective communication is may be something different than what you think.
Absolutely.
So first we have to understand how we see each other's communication. So once that has been laid out, then I know what he expects and he knows what I expect.
Okay.
And then, there is also the fact of that we have a few years in between us.
Okay.
And so that actually plays a big part in the way that we communicate as well.
Okay.
So I communicate shorthand. And then I expect for him to know what the rest of that sentence is saying. And he's like, what are you saying? So we've just learned each other's language.
Absolutely. I'm going to get into that in a minute.
Okay.
But, when you said you communicate shorthand, I kind of thought about, when you send in a text message and you put IKR, I know, right? And he's like, IKR, I don't know what that word means. You know what I'm saying? So,
Exactly.
So it's that type of thing. And not necessarily to that extent, but, and then also, it's the words that we don't speak too sometimes.
Yes.
That can be non-effective communication.
Yes.
Especially us as women. Has that ever been an issue for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I was trying to think really quickly of an example, but so if I went to the doctor and I got a prescription. So I said, okay, I'm at the doctor, I got a prescription. And then later on I said, picking up prescription. And then instead of me saying, make a full sentence, he's like, what do you, I prescription? Like, no, remember what I said? So that's just maybe a weird example, but that's
it's
just
good.
an example to say that you have to be clear. You have to understand what the other one expects. And just operate in that. And then I respect him enough to adjust.
Yes.
And he respects me enough to adjust. And we wanted this thing to work. So we're going to do what it takes to understand one another and make sure we have that communication. One thing that he did yesterday was really great. He said, we talked about something in the car and it wasn't fully understood. So he came back later. He said, I want to revisit this and talk about it. And so that's super important. And I really love that he did that, because that could have led to a lot of bad feelings and miscommunication.
Absolutely. That is big.
It really is.
Because a lot of men don't do that.
A lot of women either.
Absolutely. A lot of times period, both male and female, we take things for face value.
Absolutely.
And we don't dive deeper into what it could possibly be about.
Yes.
So that was very big of him.
That was.
It really was. Let's talk about, you said language. So when you said language earlier, I was like, ding, 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 ding. Love language.
Love language.
Let's talk about love languages.
Okay.
What's your love language?
Okay, so I did do that a while back, and my love language was time.
Quality time?
Quality time.
Okay.
And gifts.
Really? Really?
It was. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
I mean, surprising.
It's very surprising,
Right?
because I never would have thought that was for you.
Yeah, right.
I would have thought definitely more physical touch for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because you know what I always say about you anyway. But what do you think his love language is, or do you actually know?
I don't know his love language, but if I had to guess, I would say physical touch.
Really? Okay. Most men probably are. You know how they are.
He loves to hug.
That's awesome. That is so very awesome.
Yes.
So, um, so I want to make sure that I say this correctly.
Okay.
So, I know that sometimes others may have certain expectations of us if they are not used to seeing us in a certain position.
Yes.
For example, me myself working in ministry, and one minute my hair might be red, another minute my hair might be blonde. I might come to church in tennis shoes and a t-shirt and a blazer, and somebody else may see me as being totally out of pocket or totally out of character
Yeah.
to be in God's house. Now, me knowing who I am and knowing my heart for God and His love for me, none of that matters to me. Now, you being the pastor's wife, and in the eyes of some, you may not fit the description of what they think a first lady should be. Have you had any encounters with anything that looked like that?
I sure have.
Okay.
As recent as last Sunday. But yeah, so you said a good thing. It's what's in your heart. So if
Yeah.
people judge your heart, then they wouldn't have any time to worry about what color your hair is and what you're wearing. So there is an unrealistic expectation from some of what the pastor's wife should dress like, should look like. I've had comments on my hair that I wear braids and that my hair is blonde and that it's shaved on the side.
Absolutely love it.
Thank you. So
You're
do
welcome.
I, and so does he.
And that's what's important. That's what's important.
Yes.
But if you want to talk more about it, go right ahead.
Yeah, and just my style of dress. So I have my own style, my own flavor, if you will, and it's just things that I like. I like a classy, elegant look,
Absolutely.
and
And it's very polished, might I add.
oh well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's just not always the traditional 2-piece, 3-piece suit with a regal hat to match and shoes
And little kitty heels.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I do have a few hats. I love hats, as a matter of fact.
And you look so good in
Thank
them.
you.
You're welcome.
But most of my hats are like fedoras.
Okay.
And then I do
love
have a church hat.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I
awesome.
haven't worn it yet, but I'm gonna get it out.
I'm sure there will be time, enough
Yes.
time for you to wear it for sure. So I think that the way that you carry yourself is actually going to draw the younger women, because they're going to be like, wow, I never seen a first lady carry herself like that, depending on what background that they come from. So I honestly think, and it's not to say that you dress like a kid or nothing like that, 'cause,
Right.
me and you dress alike. But the way that you carry yourself, it draws a younger woman, and they really need to see what an upstanding woman looks like. Without having to be an older woman. And some of those very women are going to be the ones that you're going to end up mentoring. And so that's really awesome, because I want somebody to mentor me that looks like me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I'm intimidated by somebody who may look other than what I look like. And so I'm more comfortable being in the presence of somebody who looks like me.
Someone who can relate to you.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we have different things that happen in our lives, and we feel like, well, this person, she's dressed up this way. She doesn't understand my struggle. She doesn't understand, the types of things that I've had to deal with in my life just by a look, But that's a blessing. I receive that. I look forward to whatever God has for me in this role as a pastor's wife, and just my continued role with the church.
Amen.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Are you over any ministries or anything like that?
I'm not over any ministries right now. It's still early,
Okay.
and I'm just trying to figure out, wherever God has wants me to be. And so, I mean, I'm a part of a couple of things at church,
Okay.
but yeah, no, I'm not over anything just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know a lot of times a lot of the pastors' wives are over the women's ministries, or they work really closely with the women's ministry. Do you guys have a big women's ministry at your church?
Well, our women's ministry is being revamped.
Okay.
So right now there is a pastor's leadership team for the ministry for women.
Okay.
That's what it is going to be when it comes back, the ministry for women.
Okay.
And I am a part of that team.
Okay.
And so we're working diligently to just have a better outlook on being an effective ministry for women, not just a ministry where we get together and eat.
Yes. Yeah, and that's all we're learning is how to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
So we want to be effective in the church, and so it's taken some time, but I believe it's going to be well worth it.
And that's the thing. If you take the time and build it from the ground up, instead of diving straight into it,
Yes.
it should definitely be well worth the work that you guys are putting into it. So that's awesome. I'm glad to hear about that. I absolutely love women's ministries.
So do I.
I really do.
So do I.
So, there's this special thing that you told me about, and it kind of blew me away because I was like, so I bought this belt and it was too big. And you told me, you said, well, you could. First you said you could put a hole in it. And I was like, yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do. But then you said, well, I know that. I'm doing my voice like she does hers. Like, before I met Jesse, I had this box that was like full of all type of stuff that I had put in there for him. And I didn't know it was going to be him, of course. But I was just saving it for my significant other. And I was like, oh my God, that's a really good idea. But baby, I'm wearing this belt.
And
I
you had it on the other day.
I did. I had it on. I put a hole in it. Probably messed it up.
Well, that's not going in the box.
It's not. It's not. I don't even know what I'm going to put in the box at this point. But
Yeah.
tell us about that, Joyce, because, like, of course, I know, like, women do stuff like that, right? They put, like, all the stuff that they're going to wear on their wedding night and all this different stuff. But I never heard of that. Like, there's something about you that is so unique. And I thought that was so very special. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, okay. And so when I told you that, I had never shared with Jesse that was a thing.
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, after I told you, I went ahead and told him. and so what I did was, okay, so I've been single for several years, right? And initially I prayed that God blessed me with a husband. And after a few years when it wasn't happening for me, I just kind of, put it to the side, like maybe God hasn't meant for me to be single. And now that's what I said, but in my heart,
Yes.
I didn't, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I desired. So anyway, I like certain things, for a man, right? So what I did was I just started collecting little things that I would want my future husband to have or to enjoy. And that's what I did. So I had a little box, and I came across this one fragrance. I was like, oh my gosh, I want my future husband to like this, and he loves
That's
it.
awesome.
And so that went in there, and then just some little trinkets, some little cute stuff, reading material. Oh, I had some relationship cards that I put out. So, okay, this is going to be something that my future husband and I will, use to get to know one another better. And we did.
That's
we
awesome.
did use those cards. They were really awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, there were a few other things like some little flip flops and there was, I put a watch in there. So I bought this really nice watch. I had an opportunity to buy. I really liked the watch. And I said, I'm going to do with this men's watch. So I just put it in a box. Now that, I was like, well, we'll see. But
anybody can't get this watch.
No. So absolutely, in my years, the amount of time that I had the box, and anybody that I've ever met along the way or whatever, I never gave anyone anything.
In other words,
out
they
of that.
weren't worthy.
They
of the
were
box.
not worthy of anything out of that box. They were
not even the dice that was in the box.
And let's get that straight. When you say dice, they were
not gambling dice, y'all. Church folks, no, they were not gambling dice. Okay.
They're like couples dice where it says kiss on one side, hug, date night, just stuff like that. And you roll the dice and, you kiss, hug, or go on a date or give flowers, a massage, whatever it is.
Yeah, I thought that was so very unique. There was this, I actually saw those cards, and those cards are absolutely awesome because they are questions that you would never ever think to ask the person.
Right.
So she was like, you want to take something home? I was like, what I'm gonna do with them? But when the time comes, I might have to borrow the cards.
Okay. I'll have to gift you with your own pack.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. But those cards are pretty unique, and so I thought that was like such an awesome idea because there's so many questions that we ask, but they're normally the same basic questions that we always ask.
Right.
But those cards put a totally different spin on things.
They go deeper, and they talk about a lot of things that you're right, that you don't typically discuss during a normal or average dating. And I just want to say that every gift that I gifted Pastor Grice with out of that box, he thought I bought it specifically for him.
Wow.
Yep. And so I had to break the news.
But look, it's amazing how God does things, right? Because you really did.
I did, but I didn't know.
Not at the time. You had no clue who the gifts was for, but you knew within your heart that God was going to send the right person to give those gifts to. Yeah. So that was simply amazing. So there's this running joke that a friend of ours has.
Okay.
Joshua.
Oh,
you remember
JK.
Yes, he always said that you were going to marry a pastor. Remember that?
He did say that.
And look what ended up happening.
He would always say, yeah, you're going to be a first lady. And then like over the years, if I came across somebody, he said, is he a pastor? I said, no. He's like, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that is pretty ironic because I really didn't think of that until way after we were dating. I said, you know what, my friend Joshua said that. And, that's pretty
he pretty much spoke that into existence.
Right.
Yeah, Joyce, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Not really. I do have some last words of wisdom that I could share with anyone.
Okay.
Whether they're dating or getting ready to be married. Okay. Or marrying a man of the cloth.
Okay. Go ahead, tell them.
Okay. It's 3 things.
All right.
Okay. 1, pray. Pray without ceasing. 2, and then we covered these things in the interview. Communicate about everything. There's nothing too small or too large. Communicate about everything. From finances to children to family, just communicate. And then 3, never wear your dresses tighter than your man hugs you.
I absolutely love it. That's funny and cute all at the same time, but it's true. Yes, that's absolutely amazing. So that's good. Thank you for giving that advice to the viewers. It's some really good advice. Honestly, it really is. And I wanted to take this moment to personally thank you. Thank you so much for coming on to my show. Yes. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. This is the second time we done recorded this video. But you know what? I'm totally, I don't have a problem with it because whatever it takes to make my interviewees happy, I'm willing to go the extra mile. So I pray that she's pleased with this video this time. We absolutely love the last one.
Since since you're being honest, I had this really bad looking necklace and I thought it was really beautiful, and Cindy told me it was
I
beautiful.
thought it was.
And then when I looked at the taping, the film, I was like, "Oh my gosh, what a hideous necklace!"
You said I should have listened. I should have listened to my husband.
Because he said, don't wear that necklace. I was like, I like this necklace.
And then I walked in and said, "It's cute."
And I saw it, and I said, no, I should have listened to
Yeah,
him.
but yeah. So I enjoyed it. I always enjoy
Yes.
whenever we sit down and we talk. It's always a good time.
Yes.
So again, thank you so much for being my special guest.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my sister down through the years. I appreciate you more than I can even put in words or sum up. So again, thank you so much for being my guest on First Class Convo.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being my friend as well.
Oh. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. We're signing out for First Class Convo. Bye, guys.
Bye.